what but see, they want to do something. They want to do something right then. Yeah, they it was, well, you could see a few. It was a little team there. They really wanted to get busy. And okay, you about ready? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. This is from an article in the Washington Post, September 19, 2007. This is Dan Morsi. A case against ex-guard scrutiny of D.C. imam. This is an article in the Post, and it said, I'm just going to read a little bit of it. The United States has a long history of public speakers given to fiery rhetoric. The question in a time of heightened concern about terrorism, when do they cross the line and become a real threat? A debate based on that question surrounds a case to be held this fall in U.S. District Courthouse in Greenbelt. Submitted evidence include public pronouncements by Imam Abdul Alim Musa, who has served for 18 years as imam of a masjid in southeast Washington. Among his past statements, Zionist American agents blew up the World Trade Center. Palestine suicide bombers are heroes. The United States government saturated U.S. cities with heroin in the 1960s to snuff out blacks' rebellion. White sissy federal agents are best handled by the teachings of his lecture, How to Punk the FBI. I'll skip a little bit what the government had charged the guy that lived in that house right there. He was supposed to be in charge of security, but I'm not going to do name calling, but he was more employed by others than us. And that's the way we treated it. Musa, 62, has been trying for years to build an Islamic community in the Benning Road area, one that we would like to see replicated nationwide until the United States becomes an Islamic state. Barrel-chested with a graying beard offset by black robes, Musa is a showman, a rambling orator who quoted Patrick Henry for nearly 11 minutes in a lecture called The American Way. That's Amerikkan, The American Way. And who has spoken of his desire to see the Chesapeake Bay cleaned up in 5 years. Then I'll skip what journalist, what's the name? Then, according to court records, the government proposed showing jurors, among other things, a 17-word video snippet featuring Musa that aired this year on Fox News. If you don't stay out of our way and leave us alone, we're going to burn America down. Musa said from behind a podium at the University of California at Irvine on September the 9th, 2001. Technically, that was 2 days before 9/11. Okay, the other thing is This was a big fundraiser for Imam Jamil. We might have raised as much as $100,000. You know, it was a big show. That comment was part of what Musa was a typically wide-ranging speech. It careered from subjects such as his visits to Pakistan to the Japanese holdout fighters of World War II. Now, I had read or seen this, the last Japanese fighter in the Philippines was found in 1975. This is, what, is that 30 years after World War? The war ended in 1945. Yeah, 1975. That's right. That was 30 years after the war. Now, they was finding Japanese in the Philippines and other places on certain islands, all in 59 and 55. They were living in the jungles, you know, taking care of themselves. This one was the last one that they found. And they told him that Japan had surrendered, and they wanted him to surrender. He said, y'all didn't put me on post. He said, I'm not going to surrender unless the officer that put me in charge of this post comes here and I'll present him my sword. They went back to Japan, found the officer that put him on that post, and he surrendered. That was after 30 years. I was impressed. I said, boy, that is a bad mother scrubber there. You know what I mean? I mean, his uniform was tattered and everything, and he had took care of himself for 30 years. You know, now the Philippines, hiding in the Philippines, eating fruit, fishing, and stuff like that. Can you imagine? He was hiding for 30 years, and he didn't give up his sword for 30 years. He said, I am not going to surrender until the officer that put me in charge of this post come and I will hand over his sword. And it showed him handing over his sword. You know what I mean? 30 years later, you could tell I was impressed. I was by that, although this was way up in 2001. But I remember coming across that information, because you know, when you get older, you didn't come across a lot of, like the Book of Negroes. It's just stuff in your mind that when you looked it up, you found it, right? Yeah. Okay, I may necessarily not even remember where it came from exactly, because your mind have accumulated so many different things, but I remember that was a reality. The Book of Negroes, you know, and they were people that helped the British, then they went to Canada, then they, you know, so I was impressed by this. Anyway, so it says Japanese holdout World War II, but centered on Imam Jamil Al-Amin, formerly H. Rap Brown, a prominent Panther in the 1960s. Musa set up the Burn America Down comment by saying that he was paraphrasing Al-Amin, which prosecutors have since acknowledged. In other words, Fox News was trying to get me put in prison by saying, I said, if you don't leave us alone, if you don't do this and that, we're going to burn America down. And I remembered exactly what I said, because like the article starts, where is the line between rhetoric and encouragement for violence? I know that line. I've been doing this for a decade, so I know where the line is, and I don't even get nowhere close to it, you know, because but the stuff I say, you know, it hits home. So anyway, And this is what the article says. They've acknowledged, Musa never threatened to burn the United States down, according to a longer video and transcript of the speech posted on the website of the Investigative Project on Terrorism. In other words, one group of white folks, the Investigative Group on Terrorism, Steve Emerson's group, they put the whole statement up. Because in those days, all the media, they was swirling around us trying to get something. And I knew what they was doing because I saw what they did to other people. So I was having fun with them. I was having plenty of fun with them. So his bark is worse than his bite, said Marty Bray, executive director of Muslim American Society Freedom Foundation, which is based in Washington. Although that bark might unnerve Muslim leaders, now this makes Muslims, he's saying that it makes Muslims unhappy, which he's one of them, many of whom reject Musa's strident views. Bray said he doesn't consider him a national threat. Whether you agree or disagree or classify what he says as repugnant, he has the right to say it, Bray said. Then that is what John Miller, an assistant director and chief spokesman for the FBI, said Musa's comments about white sissies and dishonest federal agents was incorrect, bigoted, and stupid. And Musa knows as much. Miller said, but makes the remarks to get attention. The FBI has gone to great lengths to reach out to Muslim community nationwide. Miller said, adding that Musa's opinion of the FBI doesn't track with those of national Muslim leaders. Musa says he isn't racist. When he criticized Jews or Euros, his frequent term for white people, Musa says he is criticizing the Israeli and the American system. Prosecutors say that the case is formed, Okay. Today the talk is on strategic management under political repression, the Imam said that day. So I'm giving a talk, that's what the talk is that day. Musa became a drug dealer and set up operation in Colombia. Federal court records bear out his past, which Musa highlights in biographies on his website. In other words, the FBI is saying, we don't like the nigga, but what he's saying is true. He did do this, this is the assistant director of the FBI. Okay, so the only person above him is a political appointee. The director of the FBI. The assistant director is doing all the managing, right? So if the assistant director of the FBI has specific knowledge about me, not a passing knowledge, but he is very conscious about Imam Musa. Okay. So I just wanted to make those points made. One thing that the FBI said was he's doing that to get attention. Do you know what? The FBI was 100% correct. 100% correct. All I said when I would get just busted upside the head, what was that? This is propaganda. This is, you know what I mean? This is publicity. This is good. In other words, this is attention, right? And we took some of these passed out the smaller ones around. It wasn't to win the approval of them people. It was just to go and pass them out so that everybody would know. They couldn't say that they didn't know. We went enough places, right? Enough times, right? So everybody would know. And sometimes we passed out thick you know what I mean? 6 or 8, 10 pages. So they couldn't miss it. Okay. Here's where we're headed. This is called false narrative number 2. Yesterday I had a 4 or 5 hour visit from an Iranian brother. Last time I saw him was in Tehran, and he told me he came back. I've been knowing him for decades, that he came back here to renew a green card. You have to come out. Anyway, that's okay. But he wanted to interview me, so he went around to the park and he interviewed me for several hours. What he wanted to know was, what was my opinion on the things that are happening here in the United States right now? What do they mean? What will they probably produce in the future? And so I told him. And I told him our narrative. I said, number one, I said, the killing of George Floyd was instigated and implemented by a United States or a U.S. city officer up there, but it was designed by the Israelis. I told them the Israelis are the ones that kill you like that. They killed Palestine. You know what I mean? No mercy, no nothing. Just, this is our right to do this. And I told him that I didn't want him to put this part in there. I said, this man is a psycho, a weirdo. And I said, I'm going to explain why. They either interviewed him or they looked at his record. They said, this man is a good candidate as someone who would love to kill a black man. He'd love it. I mean, he would really love it. And if he could do it publicly without any repercussion, he would feel wonderful. Now, you look at his face and he had no emotion at all. He just had his knee on the brother, and he had his hand in his pocket. As I said in the Juma, and I told the brother, I said, this is pornographic. I said, the man had his hand on his penis, and he was masturbating. And I said, he did not finish until the man had his knee on him 2-3 minutes after he was dead. But he had not finished what he was doing. That's why he did it. Anybody watch it? Imagine now somebody watching it, and they look at it, they're going to see it. Nobody in the United States picked that up. Nobody. Nobody even mentioned the Israeli connection. Nobody even mentioned the specific selection of that person, because he had 19 or 18, 7 prior warnings, or his record was full of those type of incidents, right? It was full of it. Okay. So whoever selected him had his file in front of him. And his psychological profile made him the perfect person to do that. They had him in the car already Why did they take him out of the car? He was handcuffed. I don't know if you remember. They had him in the car already. They had him in the car. Then they took him out of the car. Why? Because this is an opportunity to kill this man. It's an opportunity. He was already in the car. Why you take him out of the car? Right. Okay. So I was telling them that this was done to fire up the American public, to make them so mad that they would come out nationwide. Actually, came out worldwide. He said, well, why would they do that? I said, because if you was aware of the Million Man March, the march down there with the Women's March, and see, if you hadn't been involved in all these marches, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know that they managed all of those marches, right? Why they manage them? Because nothing ever happened as a result of those marches. Nothing, right? And we know, I showed you the picture of that lady up there in New York, South, whatever her name is. How you gonna, the way she explained it was, I was sitting there by my computer and I just had a vision of this thing happening. And, oh yeah, and then you got 2 million people, 1 million people coming out. Remember, that's why it's a good thing Brother Ayub and I was there together. And we talked about it. I said, see all these buses pulling up? All these are buses. Those are union people, right? That means those are organizations sponsoring those people. It's just like when you went down to Black Lives Matter. Remember, you got people there with a hot iron. They're putting out hot dogs. They're putting out this. They got water for everybody. Where does all that come? The store don't give away water, right? And they don't give away food either, right? Okay, where did all of that come from all of a sudden? Who's behind it? Okay. The young kids that were doing it, why they didn't coalesce with others who had some experience. The other thing, they didn't have everything that we said, they didn't have an agenda. Remember on the teach-ins, why is there no agenda? Teach-in is for a purpose. Why are we here? Where do we want to go? What will we encounter on the way to getting there? Who's going to be in opposition to this, right? Those are just some of the normal questions. Those questions were not asked in the media. What do you want? We want to defund the police. That's insanity. That's insanity. Okay. First couple of days, you got the people, their people. Remember, y'all put that on the TV, on the thing, right? When the police pulled in front of us, remember? And he was interviewing. And I said, those are your people, right? I'm so glad that's on there. That we are saying to the police, the sergeant, hey man, your people doing this. All of these demonstrations and all of these burnings and all of that stuff, that's y'all's folks, man, doing that. That's not the people. Of course, he just looked. Mm-hmm. Next question, let's go on to number 13, and they went right on. Okay. So I laid that out for the brother. He said, well, why would they do that? I said, they would do that because every now and then tension builds up in a society, and they want to build up something, and it's a controlled mechanism. That means they control the incident, they control the environmental circumstances, they open it up. I said, all of the steam that build up, I say if they have, you can run a locomotive with a steam engine if you manage the steam. But if you just open the valve and all the steam goes all up in there and blows away, there's no power. You got steam, right? But it don't push anything, it don't drive anything. I said, you could tell, I was telling him, you could tell where these things are going by the history of demonstrations, the environmental circumstances. Now remember, we said this was going to happen on day one, but we waited maybe a week or two before we said it publicly. But we said right away, no, this is what they're going to do, this is where it's going. Why? Because we want to make sure what we're saying having validity. We don't want to just jump up and say, I've seen this before 1,000 times. I've been in that movie. Okay, good. So we make it clear amongst ourselves. We talked about it when we was going down there, carrying the thing. Yeah, this is what they're going to do. Okay. But we waited for them to do it. We waited for them to build up the momentum. After a couple of days, they slowed down on the burning and everything, right? Because the families were saying one thing, and then everybody was talking about Antifa, this, that, and the other, and so everybody was watching. Right. Everybody was watching. Everybody knew who was doing it. Right? Yeah, everybody was watching. Hey, wait a minute. You guys are not with us, and you're riding on motorbikes to burn this down, and you're riding to the next street to burn that, and you would see the news following those garbage cans. I don't know, up in New York. Yeah, I don't know if you was following it.
Yeah, well, I used to see the clips. You would just go to CNN, they would just have garbage can on fire.
Exactly. And that's all, forget the demonstration. Then the guys was on bikes. This is too organized, right? Organization is organized and is funded by someone up in the sky. So, brother was asking me, it was not only him, but see, in Iran, they want this to be a false narration, to be true. What about the statues that they're pulling down and what have you? And what about even George Washington? I said that is just child's play. It's no substance to it. I said, technically, they have a right to have their statues of General Lee and all that. And when he was here, he lived over in Virginia, so he know white folks over there. I said, when you was over in Virginia, I said, when you visited white folks, right, you was here a long time? Yeah, I was long. I said, when you visited white folks, did you see gun racks in their houses? He said, yeah, they all had gun. I said, right. Did you visit any Negro houses? Yeah, I went with brothers, all the brothers. So you see any gun racks in anybody, black people's houses? Now in Virginia, I'm sure there are some blacks, hunters and all that. But when you want to see guns, you go to see the white folks' house. So I told them that this was all a Hollywood production. That this was a Hollywood production. And he couldn't get it. He just couldn't get it. He says, well, why would they do that? And then I would go back and I would tell him again. I said, because they want to start interracial problems between the people. But they want to control it. That's when I told him they were only 30% successful with what they wanted to do. I said they failed on all the major stuff, they failed. And I told him about Adolf Hitler's speech, in which Donald Trump paraphrased his speech almost exactly like he was reading it from Mein Kampf or something. So he started beginning to pick it up. But I said, no, they start the problem and then they have the solution already packaged up. It's a package deal. I said, America is like that. I said, you're not going to have, and I told him about nonviolent resistance, about white people's view that you cannot have a pyramid type movement here in America, that there are some people who have websites and they write literature, and the people that follow them get hints from them. They don't call them on the phone, they don't meet them, but they get hints from their websites. And they direct people because they believe that that's the only way that you can do it. So if white people feel that way, imagine how we feel. Because see, remember, they only get the stuff after they done burned us out before they, you know what I mean? Before they done lynched us, ran around the corner. We have been destroyed way before it hits the white nationalist movements. Okay. I call this false narrative number 2 because there's a serious push. That narrative that we have is deadly. That system don't like this narrative. They don't like us talking. They not only they don't like it, they're upset to send one of my homeboys from overseas to here to go through this and try to, you got to remember the narrative. Remember how enthusiastic the guys was from Iran, and I told you he was a big TV producer, and he couldn't wait. He would call everybody over and over again. Then he don't call. You don't hear nothing from him. One of the things was the narrative. He told me how I saw into their eyes and I saw something new. That's what he wanted to tell Iranians. I told the guy yesterday, don't you tell them that. That's not the truth. I said, what I'm telling you is the truth. And I said, you tell the Iranian people that they are shaking up the world. You tell them because they're thinking about how bad things are, how the economy is going, how this, and they don't know that the whole world is watching them. And they're influencing the whole world. They are, the people of Iran. But you know, when you're going through that, you think, I gotta feed my child today. We gotta have some bread, right? All that. And that's what they're thinking about. A lot. The good leaders, like I told the brother, I said, don't y'all remember when I was here with y'all, how I used to go around to every university and I used to motivate you guys. I said, I would motivate you because I knew what you were going through. And nobody ever mentioned what I should say to you. I always studied and said the right thing for where you guys was at. I said, it's simple. You guys here, young Iranian students, carrying pictures of Imam Khomeini and yelling Marg Bag America, or death to America, right? And we done already went through, and you didn't have the Tabas expedition. That's where all the helicopters trying to raid Iran, crashing each other. I said, you done put their homeboy, the Shah, out, and you done ruined their whole program in the Middle East. And they done started an 8-year war with you, and you're in the middle of that war, and you don't have no friends. None. And all the Americans, especially the Negroes, you don't have to worry about them. They the police. Of course they was. Everybody knows it now. I mean, the ones that was here, the ones that was, you know. When I came here, I had one of the main things I wanted to know first. I didn't tell nobody. I said that I came here to get the game, to learn everything that I hadn't learned in Oakland, which in Oakland, I had the game. When I got here, I was already packed up all the way up, and just a little bit left to well, you're never full all the way, so you're still evolving, but, you know, anyway. So I told them, I said, no, I came here because I knew they was going to open up with everything. They did. I said, one of the things that I wanted to know first was which Americans worked with in the Daftar down there with the Iranians. And they didn't know I was coming, but guess what? By that time, most of the African Americans had followed the Iranians out to Gaithersburg. Remember, the Iranians are immigrants, so they move out there. They're not going to stay in D.C. They just naturally move where, you know, yeah, where their education, they all went to school, they're all educated, they all have middle class and up jobs, right? So where they going to go? They're going to go to Gaithersburg. That's all. And then they got the big IAC out there in Potomac. It's natural for them. Anyway, so we was telling our brother that that is a false narrative that y'all want to hear. I said, you have to have courage to tell the people in Iran the truth. You tell them just what I'm telling. What I'm telling you, you tell them. You got to have the courage. You want to tell them that America, they said, well, it must be something they're tearing down statues and that. I said, they're tearing down statues. I said, our belief is what we said. They should be able to keep their statues, not just billions of them, but you keep, suppose in a few years they don't know who Lee Highway is named after. You know, the one goes to Richmond? Lee Highway. Suppose they don't know. Right. Jeff Davis, right.
I think it's now Richmond Highway.
Mm-hmm.
I said, yeah, Jeff Davis Highway, and it got paused. It's like, you mean Richmond Highway? Right, yeah, Richmond Highway.
Yeah, well, look, all those, I told the brother, I said, you were living in Northern Virginia. Do you know the greatest army in the Confederacy was the Army of Northern Virginia? Jeb Stuart High School over there is after General Jeb Stuart that whipped more white folks than anybody else in the South almost. Stonewall Jackson, all of them people, all those names. Robert E. Lee is from right down the street. Robert E. Lee lived right across the thing right there for a while. Yeah, Arlington Cemetery. Yeah, that was his house before the Civil War. He had a house, big house, right? You can throw a rock at it. Robert E. Lee. Anyway, the point was that I wanted to let him know that all the things that they're watching is a false narrative. Did you see TV last night? Any TV, what was the name of it? CNN. They had Professor Griff. He said something so-called anti-Semitic. And then, no, you should, I almost turned it off. No, these are, yeah, just put CNN, put Professor Griff, and anti-Semitic statements. Professor Griff, here, you know, and it was on CNN, and there was that guy Jack Lehman, and they had the other people. The narrative was so sickening that somebody pitches the ball over the plate to those people so they can comment on what the Negroes said, but those Negroes are their Negroes. You see what I mean? Those Negroes.
Yeah, I see that one. Okay, so Nick Cannon was apparently doing that.
Yeah, that's them.
What happened? What?
It's ridiculous, but you see now, okay, that's last night.
Yeah, that's just like, I'm looking at, 13 hours ago. Yeah.
13, okay, that's last night. That means that the Negroes, they're changing the narrative now. Remember, no more, the Negroes got too much publicity down there with Black Lives Matter. Who gets jealous of that? The Jews, the Israelis. And all of a sudden, Negroes, for no reason, are making anti-Zionist or let's call it anti-Jewish statements. And they're forcing them to apologize. False narrative, they changing the narrative. They changing they changed it, that's a done deal. And I was telling him, I said, they changed the doggone narrative. By the time he finished interviewing me and I went on and turned on the news, I almost felt so sick I was going to turn it off. But I have to watch it because I have to give a talk about it. A false narrative. That's why this is false narrative number 2. The longer we do this, the more you see how everything, pretty soon, everything will look as though it's manufactured in Washington, D.C., right? Because you begin to think which news program is true and which one is arranged, right? Which demonstration emerges out of the people's desire to demonstrate, which ones are manufactured, right? Yeah, the more experience you have, the more you see it. The people don't know that. They don't know that. If they have the Women's March, they think that is a women's march. Women produce it. May God bless them. Their wonderful work for pulling that off. Right? That's what they think. We don't think that. We say, all those people? Well, how can those people pop up? Pop. Mobilization and organization. Remember that. They mobilize them, but they're not organized to do nothing. They don't do nothing. They come, they yell, they run around, they pull their pants down and holler, and then that's it. They're gone. Nothing. Okay. That's part of our job, to do exactly what we're doing now. Okay. The other people, whatever they hired to do, whatever they are about, that's their business. But this is part of our job, to show these Hollywood productions and the teams of Negroes that they got. Remember, they got teams of people already waiting in the wings, and they got, okay, what's the play right now? Just like playing a football game or something like that. They got different plays for the game is going along. Okay, it's not going the way we want. Well, call in so-and-so. Right. Who we going to call in? Call in him. Get off the bench. Come on in. Right. Do we need a psychological approach? Call them on in. Right. They got the whole roster of possibilities. If it go according to the way they want, run it. But it's never going to go like that. So as they move along, they're going to bring in people, right? They're going to incorporate people because we need to, this is the fourth quarter and the game's almost over and we got so much time left in this. So we want to bring them in to close this deal off. to run that play. And that's with everything. It could be an economic play. It could be a psychological play. Imagine they got this whole team of people there, and they could pull off anything they want. Suppose the government wanted to open a masjid anywhere, 5 blocks from anywhere. Just call it anywhere. It could get an old church, right? Move the people out of that church to the big giant church out in Missoula somewhere, right? They could do that. And they could open a masjid right down the street. And they could have it full within 2-3 hours. 5 daily prayers every day, all day, imam giving a talk. You walk in there like it's been there for years, right? They can do that. They have the ability to do that right this minute. Okay. I'll get to that later because part of our mission is to encourage some of the people within the system to do that type of thing, but except for good. Yeah. Remember, we got a big mission. This is not a little bitty teenage mission. And are people paying attention to us? Absolutely. And I'll tell you why. But this is pay attention for a great cause. You know, you have certain characteristics. When I was a little guy, growing up in these little jails, I wasn't the toughest all the time, but sometimes. But I was, one thing about it, I liked attention. Yeah, I liked attention, sure. And I didn't beat up other kids to get attention. I would challenge the way you get the best attention, you challenge the police. You do what they don't want you to do. Everybody else is going along with the program. I mean, the tough guys, everything, they're going along with the program. And you are not going along with the program. What are they going to do? They're going to bundle you up in front of everybody and send you over to the hole, to the segregation adjustment center, all them names. They're going to send you to the hole. And you can look up and you could have spent your whole youthful life being in your little company or group and going to the hole all the time. Why? Because you get the most attention that way. And you don't hurt nobody. It's just you, right? You don't beat up other kids. You know, that's oppression, right? I didn't understand it fully then, but I didn't have no argument with the kids. I wanted their attention. Hey, look at me, right? Now, everybody got certain characteristics. What I want our listeners to think about today, the purpose of good government, right, is to study the characteristics of all of its citizens and help bring the best characteristics out of the people. Right? That's what I was telling a brother yesterday. I said, government is supposed, I said, now in America, the CIA, the FBI, all of those people, they teach you to be subversive, to be informers. They teach you how to improve your lying skill. If you're a natural liar, they say you join us and we're going to help you develop that skill of lying. They do. Of subversion and all of that. That's what they teach. They teach that. Okay. Now suppose when we say, pay attention to me for a good cause, for a great cause. Because when you purify your natural characteristics, Your natural characteristics is you want attention, right? It's no secret. Hell, anybody that can count to 10. If I didn't want attention, why the heck would I have this thing with a big H right here, right? And the police stop me every time that I drive from my house, right? And I got this. Why I got it? Because I want attention. Who's going to dress like that? This is and I got a lot of these pictures. I just showed the same one. This is pre-Superfly by 3 years. This is pre-Superfly by 3 years. And that's sharp. That ain't no junk. That's not junk. That's as sharp as you can get without being a clown. I got another suit exactly like that, except it's opposite. It's a black suit with white buttons and a white mink collar to go with this hat right here. And I only wore it once or twice because I looked at it and said, that nigga looks like a clown. This one looks sophisticated to me. The other one I said, that's a little too close to being a clown. But it's attention. Okay, I wanted attention. Huffed all up, puffed all up, attention, you know. Of course, you get good health and all of that stuff, and you keep it even now, working out, you know. That was 60 years ago almost, something. I don't know how young I was here, but I can tell that I was super young, because I think that's 68. Taylor Bob and talent agent Clarence Ream, in this kind of suit. They didn't have Negroes in the white folks' paper then. This is out of the Oakland Tribune. It's not a black newspaper. This, you know, in 68, that was still when they had black newspapers all over. Yeah, they had Jet, Ebony, all of that. You didn't see you had to be, very special, almost Willie Mays or Jackie Robinson to be in the white man's newspaper. And this is a fashion page, setting the fashion. It's good, because Big Hank is getting attention, right? Okay, now, all of this is attention. This is attention. Okay. Who would have a program called How to Punk the FBI and go down to the FBI building and pass it out? Pass this out and yeah, I graduated magna cum laude, and you should have saw the other side. And I gave myself them honorary degrees that I was given a certificate of Maximus. Of course, I made it up. For smuggling the highest quality and best amount of cocaine for the cheapest price into the United States. For that, I received from my colleagues a certificate of Maximus. Yes. Right? Okay. Now, here's the kicker. And about attention, this is my arrest record. When I went to court in 73, I got this in 73 or 70. I was going to try to prove that the government was out to get me, and they arrested me over and over again. And the Oakland Police Department didn't have no arrest record. Like I was arrested once or twice. This is my arrest record. Good God Almighty. You won't believe it. This is from my bail bondsman. I was thinking, all of those arrests, there's no record of it. I said, the bail bondsman got it. So I sent a petition to the bail bondsman, and they gave me all of my arrests, court dates, and all that, what it was for. You know what I mean? Like a bail bondsman do. And all of this, they were so This bail bondsman, Wendell Elam, he was so down with it. Look at here. He got, what else he got? This is from 1967 to 1970. Yeah, that means all of these are appearances or arrests. All of these. Yeah, that's what all, page after page after page, page after page. This is a traffic ticket. This is a da-da-da-da-da. This is 11,500. You even have my car phone. YR8 4808. Yeah, that's what they got. Because I had a car phone. It weighed 300 pounds. It's not like the little phone we got now. Can you imagine? You had to have. Okay, anyway, I was just looking for something that old Elam had. Because I had beat all my cases by 1970. So it was no reason for him to be messing with me. But I think they might have forgot to take one or two of them off. So as a bail bondsman, he have to come looking for you. In the long run, this thing has Algeria and it has Dar es Salaam on it. In other words, he was looking to run across the brother. Yeah, anyway, what's the point in all of this? The point is, the desire for attention can be transformed into a virtue. A, it should be managed. B, it should be developed. C, it should be improved. D, it should be purified. And E, it should be Islamicized. Okay. I ask you a question. How the hell do you think that I put up with all of this stuff without even, because I like it. I was trained for it. Right? When I realized that I liked attention, I can't get, I have more attention than anybody. Nobody in the United States, there's no Negro in the United States. Those other people are phonies. You know, all the big Negro speakers, they don't get as much attention. There's nobody paying as much attention to them as they do to me. You could see it as soon as we walk down the street. Here come the police to cut us off. We go down there. Here come a Mexican saying, no, California was not part of Mexico. Right? It's insanity. Everything, you would think that everything they do, right, is related back to me. That's attention. Why is it easy for me? Because, remember now, eventually, know yourself, know your enemy. 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories. Who knew this stuff when we were younger? I just liked attention. Who thought about this stuff, getting arrested every other day, driving the biggest, prettiest car in town, and got a whole trailer full of all other big, that's just one of them. I got all tons of them. And I don't have no driver's license. And the police want to stop me, so that means that I'm going to get stopped all the time. And they got probable cause to stop me because I don't have a license. There's the bail bondsman, there's the lawyer, and there's the police. My lawyer could have told me, oh, let's go down, we'll get you some insurance, right? And you'll get your license. He didn't tell me that. I didn't think of it. I was just young and stupid. I thought about all kind of big business, but I didn't think of that. And why the hell should he tell me anyway? The more I get arrested, take the bail bond. The more I get arrested, you think the bail bondman want me to have license? He's cut off his head. He likes me. I'm a nice guy, but I'm good business for him. The lawyer, you think that they want my lawyer? He knows that, all you go do is, we do this all the time. Everybody just go down and you get insurance. Whether it's high insurance or low, what difference it makes to me? I spend $1 billion a month anyway on anything. So what's $200 for insurance or something like that, right? Who cares? Then I could drive anywhere I want. And I got all these cars, and you think I'm not going to drive them? Right? I drove my own cars. I even washed my own cars. I don't want niggas putting their hands on my cars. You know what I mean? We were younger, so, I carried stuff around I'd wipe that boy down. If it got a little mist on it, I'd wipe it down. It'd be clean all the time. It looked like that all the time. Because who's going to drive an old dirty car? Okay. The desire for attention can be transformed into a virtue. All people have some virtues that they're undeveloped. Everybody, if they study themselves, they would find, hey, I have a virtue, or this, that, and another. Or I have something that I like to do. And if they develop that characteristic, they could stand in that arena the same way I could stand all of this stuff and it ain't nothing. It's nothing because I was trained to do it. And after I understood what was going on, I didn't went crazy with it. That's why all these, I know what I'm doing. I'm doing it on purpose. Just like the FBI said, the dummy, he did get that right. He said, this guy wants attention. But they can't stop it like Muhammad Ali. He wants attention. He's a good guy. And he does stuff to get attention. It makes him more money. Okay. The more attention that we make, the more we can point out who the evil people are and the systems that they have. If we could not stand this on this level, number one, we would never find it out because we would never evolve to that level. We would want to stop these problems. I don't want the attention. I don't want privacy. Who's going to have where you know that when you're sleeping in your bed, there's a camera watching you? Who, when they're writing something, like I'm writing the stuff I wrote right now, this stuff right here. If I'm writing this, I can write something down and something will happen based on what I wrote. In other words, I test every idea I have, I test it. I could write something down, then I get a phone call based on what I just wrote. That means they're reading exactly what I'm writing. Or they done put something in my brain to read it or something, right? Whatever is happening, I done tried it 10, 30, 40, 50 times, and it always happens. So therefore, right, this is real. So the desire for attention can be transformed into a virtue. You use it to trap your enemy. You use it. Is it natural? Yes, I've always been like that. Now I'm going to use that for me. I have always wanted attention. That's not bad. A lot of little kids, they show off, right? They just show offs. Okay, that's not bad. That'll help. If that kid keep that, that'll make, he probably become famous or something because he's a show off, right? Then he'll learn how to, you know what I mean? How for it not to get out of hand, how not to hurt nobody, all of that. They'll learn that as they go on. But who wants to be a zero in life? A big fat zero? Nobody. Nobody. Okay, now, what I'm saying is we've developed this desire for attention to a high level of science. I don't know anybody that done developed it any higher than we have, because I don't think most people could take it that long. You see what I mean? The reason we've been able to develop it and talk about it and act like we do is because, hey, we like it and we use it. All of that design, fitness, strategic management under conditions of all of that is a part of this process. So, but this phenomena has to be managed. It has to be controlled. Whatever level it's on, when you recognize it, then you have to develop it, or you should develop it. So it becomes higher, more precise, right? You can turn it on, you can turn it off. Remember, this is your characteristic. You could use it anytime you want, any way you want, anywhere you want, because it's your characteristic. So it becomes an improved version. You came in on this level, and the longer you live, the more it improves. It gets higher and better. And everything we're doing is getting improved. I'll give you an example. Maybe 3 or 4 months ago, 5, 6 months ago, I might have said that I believe that the Islamic Republic is reaching a level where now they could almost not go on their own, but they could, something like they don't need our 24-hour-a-day attention or something like that. Okay, that's not true, because a few things happened. When we said that, we were going at the obvious things, the military, how they're doing with shooting down drones, and how they're talking and not getting too much. They got it going on. And they do have it going on. But on this narrative right here, dealing with internal America, they are not able to deal with that properly. That's why they don't understand. That's why Talib Zadi, that's why he didn't want to talk to me anymore. He didn't want to talk to me anymore because his narrative was, Imam Musa, I looked into those kids' eyes and I saw a difference, a change. I didn't say that at that time. But I hinted the next day, and if you notice, he said, instead of doing it live, we want to record. I don't know if you remember that. So they recorded. Because if I said it live, he couldn't stop it. Okay, so, all right. But remember, I'm reading all of this. They can think I'm asleep or I'm missing the boat. I don't care what they think. It ain't like that. You know, in fact, this session here proves that we're operating, we're improving, adjusting ahead of the curve, because we're having a proper analysis of this. If we was traveling along with everybody else or a little behind the curve, we would be like them. We're where we are now, and we're the only ones here. So far, Maybe somebody else is here. I haven't seen him. Have you heard of anybody else that's on this? Not a one. Not even close. They're not close. They're not close on this analysis. But this is the analysis. So, and the way they send somebody from Iran, it costs $1,000 to come over here. You got to live somewhere. You got to do that to interview me specifically, right? That's what they're here for. I could tell when the phone call comes in, okay, yeah, all right. Ability to withstand maximum attention, harassment 24/7. For me, it's natural. It's part of my desire, and it's transformed into a virtue. That's a big deal. That is one of the characteristics we're going to be teaching. Actually, not going to be. We've been trying to teach that for a while. This is what it means. Everybody have certain characteristics. Okay. Some of the characteristics they have, for instance, in this great movement to do good, some of it may be shadowy or something. For instance, I like to be seen. So I can speak in it. I could go to sleep and they could say, Imam Musa, give a speech on such and such a subject. Sure. Well, you need to just write down a couple of words and start talking. Because I like to do it, right? And I'm getting attention. So I'm going to do it either very well or kind of good. I'm going to do it because to me it's play, it's fun. It's what I do. Another person may be secretive or something like that. That's not bad. In order to do this movement, they'll improve their secretism. So it's beyond their boss's ability to perceive. Yeah, we're going to knock boss over. Don't worry about that. Boss man has already bitten the dust. He bit it, he just haven't swallowed it yet. Don't worry. Boss man is finished. The shaitan, we're picking him apart. We're slapping him upside of the head. He can't do nothing without us pointing it out. That's what the hadith said. The Prophet ﷺ said to Aisha, she asked, do I have a shaitan too? She said, yes. He said, even thou, O Rasulullah? He said, yes. But I have conquered that shaitan, and he only suggests good to me. That means, look, we visibly and verbally slap the shaitan upside the head. Who you talking to? You trying to get, what you trying to, and it's like a psychological game. So if you see me bust somebody upside the head and ain't nobody there, that's me hitting those, I'll whoop your behind. And don't you never come in here with that no more. This is, it's just a game. Life is, that's a game. I don't care. But we whooping his behind. No matter how he come, if he come, we might lay on him a while. I'm telling you, these things are possible. These things are real. We want people to study themselves and whatever characteristic that Allah, one or two special characteristics, improve it, manage it, develop it for the movement though. See the cause. I'm using this stuff for the cause. If I wasn't using it for the cause, I'd go crazy probably, something like that. Yeah. But I'm using this for a cause. This cause, the Islamic cause, because remember the last one it says, first it's improved, purified, tazkiyah bil nafs, purified, and then Islamicized. It's Islamicized. So the ability, whatever would run, nobody would want to have their children, their family, all their nieces and nephews, everybody being affected by the shaitan or by the system. But one thing about it is, when you get your whole family on boss man's team, are they going to be 80% for boss man, 20% for you, 90% for boss man, 10% for you? Remember, we don't need much. We don't need much. The law of large numbers, the more people they get involved, the more chances you got. It's so stupid, right? This already done. It's a done deal. Forget it. Technically, we have to do our job. We could almost pack up, say, wrap that up, see you later. Where you going? I'm going home. I'm going rest. I'm going watch a movie. I quit. I don't have to do anything. But this is our job. This is our response. This thing is done. It's done. Look, every people you talk, you can push Kusher, Marubani, all them people, anybody. And it's worse now. It's worse now. This fool is making a problem with China, and China's in pocket. And they're out of pocket. It's unbelievable. This is the 60s was nice. But this is bigger and better. This is unbelievable. To be alive during this time, like, if you think this is not exciting, hey, all the movies that have excitement, they're not exciting. This is exciting. They're not, I can't go to, they blow up everything. I say, shoot, I done seen enough of that. I don't want to see. No more, nobody getting blew up, the car going off a cliff. I done had enough of that. But this is exciting. Imagine, every day, they're coming, we got boss man on the hook. Can you imagine? You got to think about it. You're fishing. Now, is boss man controlling us, or are we controlling him? Are we responding to him? Maybe 10%, or is he responding to us? He's responding to us minimum of 90%. And we're just here, just running around, chit-chatting, having a good time. That means we are manipulating him. He's not manipulating us. That's a big deal. That's super Negro science. Hey man, because it don't even seem real. What is that nigga talking? What are you talking about? Right? That's what some of the people probably saying. Boy, that boy, he gets some good points. Boy, but he be stretched out. Right?
They haven't dropped those in the chat, but.
No, but I mean, well, because see, they've been watching a long time. But suppose one guy just pops in there. Right. You say, what's wrong with that man? Boy, that brother there is gone. If he don't, but then if he go back and watch, after he watched 3 or 4, he'll say, yeah, man, this is deep. Okay, but just imagine, here we are. The ability to withstand maximum harassment, 24/7. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Well, 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 46 seconds. It's technically how long a day is. That's why we have a leap year. It's not actually 24 hours. It's 23 hours, 56 minutes, 46 seconds. Yeah, one of those two per day. Yeah, anyway. CIA develops deception and lying, suspicion. We got to take all of those issues and reprogram it. Remember, we have to try to bring good out of people and make them comfortable practicing good. That's wonderful. That's because you're trying to do good. It don't make no difference. Remember, if you're trying to do a big good, if you do it, you get 2 blessings, 700 blessings, all of that. If you just want to do it, you get we already get the blessing because we want to do this. You see what I mean? And we believe in Islam, so we already home free. We get the blessing for doing this just because we want to do it. Attempts to change analysis. The attempt to change our analysis. Why? You sure this is right? You sure that's right? They want their analysis to be right. They don't want our analysis to be correct, and it is. They just don't want it to be correct. Oh, please don't. For many reasons. Number one, I gave this talk several months back. They have a morbid stupidity. If they can get me to make an incorrect analysis about some things or anything major, then they think, since I'm right all the time, now this is how stupid they are. They're thinking this. I got to see them thinking. They think that. Look, they are thinking. If we can make him to get the incorrect analysis, since he's always right, this tongue twister, then we'll be all right, because he'll make the incorrect analysis, right? Which will put us in freedom, democracy, and all that. If we can get him to change his analysis, since the niggas are always right, he'll change the reality. That's what they think. They think it, well, let's just do the math. How often are we correct? It's not being arrogant. How often are we correct? Okay, say it's 80%, 90%. It could be 95. It could be 98%. 98% is good enough. 98.6 is pure. That's the best you can get, like for a drug. You can't get anything pure than 98.6%. That's it. That's considered 100. Because there's some impurity in everything. You can't just get everything. Okay. Now, the same thing with our brothers in Iran. We've been kind and friendly with them, trying to not, like Sister Marzia and all of them people, they're basically not criminals, but that's bad what they're doing. Okay, so we're trying to convince them, hey, just come back, join the team, yeah, kumbaya and all that stuff. And we mean it. The same thing we mean with the Negroes. But with both of these realities, they're dangerous. Like the brothers in Iran that are in position, that clique is in power. That clique can do a lot of damage. And I'm moving to the point of being tired of them. Technically, ain't nothing they can do about it. Why? Because we have put this out for years. Nobody had to listen to this. They could go back. They could go back 10 years and take that stuff, or forget 5 years. They could get that stuff, right? And it will explain this stuff right here. Okay. The point is, it's a thing of kind of like kindness. Did you ever see The Gladiator? Yeah. Okay, you remember when The Gladiator, they got a scheme, they gonna have him, when he go out to fight the Great White Hope, well, the guy that they bought out of retirement, Gogor or whatever he was. So then they got the tigers. They letting the tigers run out, and they got to change. They're really doing a dirty game on the gladiator, right? They really mean it's just ridiculous. But still, the gladiator knocked the guy down, and he got the thing over, ready to cut off his head, right? And then everybody is saying, kill, 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 right? Because it's been dirty what y'all do it. So then the emperor said, do like this, and the gladiator take the thing and throw it down. And then it's about a 2-second pause. Then they say, Maximus the Merciful. Remember that? Yeah. They're saying, Maximus the Merciful. In other words, all that dirt y'all did to the guy, you done burned his family alive. Oh man, the stuff they done to him. Hey man. And then they got this guy, this good enough fighter as he already is, and then you got tigers coming. He got to kill the tiger, right? Remember they got the chains trying to hold it. It's really just, and he let the guy go. And the crowd is there. And they said, Maximus the Merciful. That's our attitude with the Negroes and the Iranians. But they're overdoing it. Because they're dangerous. Remember, we're kind and gentle and sweet and all that. But those people are trying to destroy the lives of hundreds of thousands and millions of people. So, it's not that that's coming to an end, but that's coming to a point of demarcation. So maximum attention, how to challenge the authority when everyone cooperates, is cooperating. I was just saying others were tougher and better fighters and all that. But this stuff that we're doing, it's not a part of American history. Nobody has done this type of thing. Martin Luther King was distraught and upset, and they threw a few bottles at him up there in Chicago. And he said, man, these white folks up here is worse than the ones, because he gave some. He said, I thought our Peckerwoods, our white folks down in Dixie was bad, but he said, man, these people are venomous. So it kind of broke his heart a little. They're not going to break our heart because we know what they're capable of. But our goal is still the same. And it's getting closer. The stuff that we're talking about now, this is a real period in history. Do you know when they talk about the bubonic plague and all that stuff, we're in that arena now. It's 130, 38, something like that, big number. People dead. Now you getting, okay, in a month, say it'll be 200-300. Hey man, and the numbers are picking up. You know, they say they'll be back to 1,000. At first it was 1,500 a day dying, then it went down to about 700, 800. They said now it's going back. Man alive. And Dr. Fauci said, no, this is the first wave. This is not the second wave. He said this is the part B of the first wave. If you would have just stayed at home and mind your own business, right?
Mm-hmm. Cities can't create laws now to require masks. It's illegal now. You know, down in Georgia, I was reading that yesterday.
Georgia and Alabama. See, the brother's one of the mayors of Montgomery, in fact. He's a young brother. He started mask and hand washing way long time ago, and he's got good numbers in his city. And they had him on. He said, no, we wasn't going to take a chance with people's lives, man. And people, once you're dead, economy is one thing. You can fix up the economy. If you're alive, you can go out and jack your car up. You can puff it full of this. You could go send something here, do. But if you're dead, that's it. He said, hey, man. So anyway, develop your own personal characteristics. Example, we already used certain examples, but suppose you like stability and safety, right? You could overdevelop it, because what the white man do? If you like stability and safety, stability, well, I get a government job. That's the boringest job in the world. I don't know how people do it. They do it though. It's not bad. It's fine. You know, you become a mailman. You walk around the city. You get older. You buy a nice Cadillac and everything, and you just never go nowhere. You dog, man. They don't go nowhere. They don't do nothing. The biggest, the most mobile people might get some timeshare place that they can't never get no time in it down in Florida, or something stupid like that. But they die. They die. They came here and they worked for the government. The boringest job in the world. I'm not against people working for the government, but even no matter how smart you are and energetic you are, after you work for the government for a few years, they done drained all the light and the fire out of your brain. You just automaton. All you can do is what you're told. And you don't think about things like freedom and what have you. And if you could join the wrong institution, instead of stability, if you join the police department, you join the Army, you might have a stable paycheck, but they're destabilizing you, sending you over there to kill other people, and they're going to kill you. Man, that's the most destabilizing security. They give you, oh man, we don't like that kind of world. I visualize a world that helps people reach their own potential. What is your potential? What do you want? Right? That's what I believe in. I don't care what they believe in. It's not necessary, the stuff they do. They're just, they're like shaitan. It's not necessary to do the things that they do. It's just evil. It's not necessary. You don't get anything extra for it. Okay, let's see here. Shaitan, public ass kicking, yes. Backing up, counterpunching. We do all that stuff. Boy, I saw a good thing. I've seen it many times, but I was watching Sugar Ray Robinson, Pound for Pound. Technically, he was probably the best boxer, pound for pound. And not only that, he could hurt you backing up. And last night I happened to watch George Foreman and Muhammad Ali. I might have watched 2 Ali fights, on the phone. And man, Ali was serious. Ali was serious. He was very serious. Okay, but he could hurt you going back. That's the way we do. We don't attack the system, we counterpunch all the time almost. They do something to us, so what? We counterpunch. Counterpunching makes people mad. It makes them, you puff up their vision where they can't hardly see. I would say we have been hitting the system so regularly that they puffed up their vision, their guidance system is off. No, their guidance system, that by what they're doing, their guidance system is off. It's not on the money. And they're not playing. Sometimes they play to try to fool you. The general atmosphere that exists in the United States, they are not playing. They are thrown off. They are misguided. Whatever Donald Trump was supposed to do, he's doing that plus extra. Plus, he didn't run off the stage, and he ain't listening to his boss no more. He's not going to listen to him, because that's how crazy he is. So, and I'll close with this thing about the treaty. You know, our treaty, our JCPOA, whatever it is. We want Boss Man, first of all, to stop playing, and you have to recognize the stuff that we've been talking about here in general. Then restore everything, restore our property with improvements, our accounts with improvements. We're going to have a 10-year ceasefire. So they lie so much, maybe they give you 2 years, 3 years. Don't make no difference. But it's a 10-year ceasefire. Okay, this is an agreement that they're going to have to do with us. And we agree to stop whooping your behind in public. That's what we're doing all the time. Just because they don't say nothing about it don't mean we've been whooping Boss Man for so many years. It's almost all, Boss Man, you need another whooping. I'm telling you, think about it on all levels. We've been whooping him all the time. It don't make no difference whether he says you've been whipping me, but the people been watching. Now, I want you to think about how big we're getting and how small everybody else is getting. Do you notice even these things, when we elevate the lectures, that means that we're moving up. And all of them, guess what? They start to look like children. Abdul Malik them, Mukhtar them, Siraj Wahaj them, they look like children. They act like children. They are technically, they're children because, I mean, hey, it's a long story. All right. And our $100 million and a public apology. Yeah. Another thing is we want them to turn the tattletales over to us. All they tattletales. Because they tattletales joined them before they got a chance to go around and look what opportunities. So we're going to say, hey, you see what your opportunity is? So we want to train their tattletales that they put on us. We want to train them. Yeah, we want to bring the best out of them. See, the white man brought the worst out of them to make them evil and slippery and think they're smart, you know what I mean? And the poor brother's a little dumb. Well, I am a little slow. That's why I delay everything, because I know I'm slow. Right? I know I'm slow, so I'll delay it and delay it and delay it. Pretty soon, I'll get the picture, right? Okay, it's pitiful. It's pitiful. Okay. Turn the tattletales over to us, yeah. I will study them, evaluate them, and out of them will emerge a good person. That's what I want to do with the tattletales. I already talked about that Iran thought they had outgrown us, but they hadn't. Okay. The other thing I was telling the brother, I said, look, I said, you know when do you know how I think I mentioned it in the talk the other day, when you want to put the baby to sleep, all you have to do is lay the child on the mother's breast or chest, right? And if the child is a little anxious, the child will automatically revert back to the rhythm when it was in the mother's womb. I mean, in the mother's tummy. Yeah, the rhythm. You know, the heartbeat and everything. Yeah, they'll knock them out almost every time. Yeah.
No, that actually does work.
Yeah, no, it works. It's just natural. It's just natural. And then the other thing is that not only it works, but it puts you in sync with the child. So the point I think I mentioned it, Boss Man. I have an actual mother and father, but Boss Man raised me out of them jails. First part of my life. So I got his rhythm. I already, I was trying to tell the Iranian guy yesterday, I said, I have his rhythm. I got his rhythm down and nothing, that's it. He knows me, but I know him too. I got his rhythm. Already, ain't nothing, look, can you tell, maybe just I want to check myself to see if I'm exaggerating to myself. Does it seem that I kind of got the general rhythm of the system?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely got. I remember, a year ago, you were sitting there talking, you had just gotten getting back from, from the after effects of the assault.
Right.
In Oakland. You would say, well, man, it's about time for them to come on by. Speaking of the
Right.
guy, a month later, guess who's knocking on my door?
Right.
It was like, you definitely got the rhythm.
No, that's what I mean. It's a rhythm. It's not something that and this is what I was trying to explain to the brother yesterday. In the long run, to tell the truth, I think this thing is going to be all rightish. What I mean to say is the world is too sophisticated and too afford to be blown up with atomic bombs and all that. So that means it'll be skirmishes and wars, but not too far gone. And then people are beginning to think a little bit more, and usually when there's an opening, the bad people run for that opening because, they run for it because there's money there, there's power, Okay, I think I can sense there's a little change now. And I think we have an opportunity, we do have an opportunity to be in the first rank of the change. In other words, we can be in the first wave of initiating, just like Maximus the Merciful. This kindness, this good world, we're making that choice on our own. You know what I mean? And we're making that choice because the other choice would mean you would be practicing something that's not a part of your characteristic. Like if I had to write my notes, some kindness is not weakness, just to remind, I just write them. Because that's true. Kindness is not a weakness, it's a strength. But sometimes people be acting so stupid, you want to respond to their stupidity. You think you stupid, sucker? Let me show you some maximum stupidity. Okay. I think that when this is all said and done, that we're getting a chance to play a good part in this already. Yeah. And before it's all over, we will have developed the exact allies that we're looking for, because they exist. Those people do exist. The world is not all bad all the time. It's just not like that. too much good stuff be going on. So anyway, are there any questions? Are there any comments? Mm-hmm.
Concerning the brothers over in Iran. I mean, because you kind of spoke about it, they have a certain analysis they like to see. What do they want to see? Like, what are they?
No, they want to see that America, they want to tell, okay, they done made huge blunders. Everything they did, that team, Zarif and all of them, the foreign minister, he's not head of that team, but he's moving up in that. Okay, he's a part of that clique. And also, I was telling the brothers about the dangers of those cliques. And there's a lot of them in Iran now. That's why I told them I wouldn't mind going and making a circuit around and talking to the people. They don't want me to go talk to the people because they don't want people to hear what I got to say, even if it lifts them up. Okay, they don't want that. They believe in cliquism, hiding the JPOCA, whatever it is, it didn't work. That's Zarif, that's Rouhani, that's that whole crew. They hoping that they really put a lot, they was riding on that. They was riding on that, and it was, they got permission from the Rahbar, come on, let us do it. He said it ain't gonna work. Okay, go ahead. I'm telling you, that's what, not our crew, but that's what the principalists said. The principalists, they name everybody. The principalist guys are the ones that stick to the original revolution and the guidelines and all that. They're the principalists. And they're not pro-American. Zarif, have you ever seen him on TV or these things here? Yeah. You would think that you would think that they was gonna run him for president of the United States sometime. You ever see how they talk to him? Yeah. How they treat him? He went for that. He believes, they believe that if we treat America good, America gonna respond. This is the fourth or fifth time they had signal diplomacy. Khatami with Afghanistan. Iranians let the Americans use flyover space over Iran to go and get Taliban or Salafis like they, okay. So that was the beginning of so-called signal diplomacy. You send me a signal and I'll return, you know what I mean? We'll people. Here come George Bush, he said, Iran is the axis of evil. They were squashed and just crushed. They've went through several cycles of this stuff. So what they would want, like the brother yesterday, he couldn't understand that America was so controlled that they could manage that program like that. Easy. And I was telling him, no, that's what it is. It's what we're saying it is. And I told him, you go and tell the people this, and you'll be telling the truth. Don't tell them what you want to tell them. Don't tell them that. No, that's what I told him. Okay, now you got to remember, these cliques, everybody is not bad in the clique. Some are like very good guys. After every revolution, there's people see things different. Some want a laissez-faire economy. Some want an ironclad economy, right? Some want people to have, they lean liberal. Some want conservative. That's natural. What we're saying is, it is natural, but you have to cooperate with each other. When the people vote, whoever they vote in, then the other team, if it's 60-40, the 40 cooperate with the 60 to get the thing done, or if you can't do any better, at least be neutral. Don't work against them. Because like Democrats and Republicans, if they work against each other, forget about America, right? You can't do anything. America is gonna hurt. And that's what I tell them, do not become Americans. So anyway, that's basically what they want to see. They want to see that Americans learn the lesson that George Washington was a slave owner and they spray painted them, and that Americans have learned the lessons, and they're really, and I told him percentage-wise, I said, we went to those programs and we claimed 25% of those people. And I was telling them that's enough. We don't need those people. I don't know if you was paying attention, some of the people was really vibing, especially some of the days we went where they were really close around us, and they was really, yeah, okay. All of them wasn't the police. Some of them were real human beings, right? And some of them is vibing. Okay, so Iran is moving real fast ahead, but the ones that's in the foreign ministry don't know. They thought they knew America, but this round proved that they didn't know it too well. That's why we have to re-engage with them, because they're mistaken. Let me try to put it another way. Remember 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago, whatever it was, that period, we say we think Iran is getting the game together so we can start to recede. Well, now we have to re-engage, because they wasn't evolving quick enough, although the older ones would have picked this up because they was active with Americans. So they were sharp in those days. Okay, since you disengage, you lose your sharpness. That's the only thing I'm saying. So they want to see the tearing down of statues as a sign of consciousness and awareness, right? And I tell them it's not consciousness. I said, they have a right to have the Jeff Davis statues. They can have them. We want black consciousness. We want Malcolm and Frederick Douglass now. I said, shoot, we got a president to thank Frederick Douglass is still over there at Frederick Douglass' house. You know that idiot thinks that, did you ever see him? Yeah, he responded like, yeah, Fred, yeah, man, Fred is rolling. He got a new Benz. We didn't say that, but you would think he thought. I said, man, no comment at all. I mean, that's just it. I finish, right? Tell the truth. This guy is hilarious. Okay, but we have to re-engage Iranians on this, because this is an important point, and they're missing that point. The military, I study them every day. They're doing good. But this point about America, I told him, we have been raised. I said, I feel the Americans' presence. I said, I know when they're doing stuff. I don't have to see them. I already know. I said, I can feel it. I use a thing about, I say, a carrier pigeon, you strap the message on a carrier pigeon, and he don't have no map or nothing. He just flies back, and how does he know? I said, the smells, the sounds, the environment, the pressure. Probably in that area, he can follow the pressure, the air pressure in that area, all kind of stuff that we don't know nothing about. I know that he'll get back to where he's supposed to get every time. Okay. I said, that's the way we are with America. We can feel this stuff going on. I said, oh, we can feel it. And I was telling her, I said, I can feel it. It's been happening too long. And I said, we are not falling behind either. We're going farther ahead. You know, like you get a little old, you get a little rusty. I said, our analysis is not an old, rusty, and it's on the money, and we're improving. And this modern time is an improvement. Everything we did was just right on time. Well, let's just go down and see. That's all we're doing is just test it out. We already had a feeling about how it was going to go, but we had to do it to make sure, right? I mean, I think the day this stuff happened, I said they're going to do this, they're going to do that, but we made sure. So we go down and we want to see how is this thing working? So we go down and we look, the kids is running everything, and this is happening, that's happening, and there's no experience in there. You know what I mean? There's no historical, and they have to be told that. You have to tell all them people to stay away. They're not going to just stay away. How can you get them all to stay away? Because you have the authority and you can tell them to stay away, and they do it. That's so what I'm saying is, we read this all along, just like, and we just be playing with them. So if we go down to the Congress, you know, wherever the thing is, we could see in the background, we're just going down there to have a good time. So the guy run across with the lawnmower, a few Negroes come, and then they just come in and check us out like usual, and the police come by, assalamu alaikum. Good, right? Okay. Whatever it is, they're paying attention to us. You can't say that they're not. And when they move the police back to our line, even with us, and the more we shouted, that is a Hollywood production, they had to stop because it felt uncomfortable to them. If we wouldn't have been there, on the news, they'd have the news, they're there, it just turned violent, and da-da-da-da-da.
They were there. I remember I was seeing that there were news, or people that looked like they were in media there. Like, you know, as usual, we set up, they disappeared.
Oh yeah, and they disappear. Why? There's somebody telling them to disappear. Right? Our stuff was simple, but it was deep. And we was using all their material, the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, even the paragraph on slavery that Tom was going to put in there. All of that, the 13th Amendment. So what they wanted to hear that this is the Million Man March crew. They told the Rahbar, and the Rahbar gave a speech about the Million Man March. He said, there's an Islamic wind blowing over America. It's a lie. They told him that, you know. And he looked at it on TV, and it looks like, right, okay. So does this thing. It looks like America is woken up. America, they ain't got nothing on the dialogue to come after, the change of focus, the rerouting everything. They did all of that already in a couple of days. So that's what they wanted. They wanted a narrative to fit what they think about America. What they should do is just help us, and we'll take care of everything. That's hard for people to do. maybe they don't trust Negroes that much. I've found that to be truish. You can see as soon as Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui said everything he said, everybody went bad. Everybody closed up shop. Imam Musa's man behind. Right? Essence of all that's good. I said, dog, Doc. Well, everybody had watched, and everybody saw how he was acting with me. We were taking more walks by ourselves. And he was grooming. He was grooming. It was clear what it was. He was grooming, you know. He wasn't grooming them. He wasn't grooming them because whatever it is that they're supposed to have, he knew they didn't have it. They didn't have it. Okay, they didn't have it, and they were actually opposite of what they was, but that's all right. They didn't have it. And when he told them what he said, he knew he was going to pass away. And they just drifted away. And they feel stupid too, because remember, they didn't use all them half Indian, half white, light-skinned people. They didn't use that too. And they were sure, we're going to catch that nigga because he's a nigga. They were sure. Look, I'm telling you, they were sure. He's a nigga. He can't stand. We'll throw this out and they'll snap at it. No. See, because doing right is better. They don't understand that. The average fool, old dumb Bill, that man is a fool. He's a fool because he thinks with his penis. He thinks with his penis. We used to have a saying in Jahiliyyah, that nigga ain't gonna never be nothing because he's too kind to his dick. I mean, that was just a saying. He's pro his penis. He can't manage nothing because when anything come up, he gonna follow whoever that thing lead him. And it ain't gonna lead him nowhere but to destruction. So anyway, this is what people know. And they thought, since I'm black, and I'm proud to say, they've all been wrong. All of the Negroes, the white folks, all of them, they've just been wrong. Okay? So, anyway, just because they've been wrong don't mean we're going to follow it up with wrong. We're going to follow it up with right. Okay, any more questions or comments? Okay, alhamdulillah. All right. I guess we'll...